Hello, everybody. Welcome to Headhunters Live, number 62. And today we have an amazing show with Ben Mena. Many of you may know him from the Elite Recruiter podcast. But before we bring him on, let me introduce you to my beautiful and very intelligent co-hosts. Right over here, we have Neil Levitz, also known as the Big Cheese. What is up, Neil? Good morning.
Good morning to you all, or good afternoon, I should say.
That's right. That's right. All right. Well, what's up, Neil? And then, of course, we have the best looking man in the business, Mr. Chris Wessel. What is up, Chris?
Not much. Is that why you're partially covering my face with this? Is that just to mess with me? Is that what it is?
Pretty much, yeah. It's intimidating.
Trying to take me down a notch.
You got to cover that strong,
we have to remove that gorgeous chiseled,
chin.
Right?
Yeah, that would be
because
known as a Giga Chad chin. Giga Chad chin.
These guys are great for my weekly eco boost because my kid takes me down every day. So you guys bring me back up just a little bit.
Oh man, well we have a great show today. Ben Mena is on. So we're going to bring him out here in just a few minutes. Now, for those of you who don't know, we have been pre-taping these and we're broadcasting live. So if you're watching the broadcast live, what I want you to do right now is in the comments, type in live. If you're watching the replay, type in a replay. I don't do that just for my health. It actually pushes us out in the algorithm. It helps us reach more people. So the more you help us, the better guests we can bring on, just like Ben over here. Make sure you share the show with everybody that you know. And with that being said, let's dive into our sponsors. First off, we're going to start off with Back Office Staffing Solutions, also known as BOSS. Now, if you want to be a BOSS recruiter or a BOSS search firm, and you want to get some recurring revenue in your life, not just making direct hire placements, but actually placing contractors, temporary staffing, and be able to smooth out your revenue, better serve your clients, and let's be frank, make a lot of money. But you don't want to deal with the workers' comp and the insurance and the worst, funding your own payroll. Neil's company, Back Office Staffing Solutions, handles it all. Go to backofficenow.com and you can book a free consultation. They'll walk through the entire process. And in addition, if you want to download Neil's new book, he has the AI guide. You can find it on Amazon. Just type in Neil Lebovitz book, or if you want to get it for free, go to backofficenow.com/AI. Thank you, Chris.
I'm just Vanna White down here.
That is perfect, Vanna White. All right, and now on to our next sponsor. So, of course, I run a company called the Digital Headhunter. We help deploy sales marketing systems for small search firms, independent recruiters. Putting together a sales and marketing system is a pain in the butt. There's a tech stack you got to figure out, and all the copy, and of course, sourcing all the prospects and putting everything together is very, very difficult. And for most of you, you guys are too busy billing and actually being great recruiters. So we will build your entire sales marketing system that will help you dominate 2026 in 30 days. Just go to realdsp.me/build. And I also have a guide as well called the AI Proof Recruiter. You can get it for free. Go to the digitalheadhunter.com/AI-proof. All right. With
David,
that,
let me ask you a question. I've always been meaning to ask you this. When you say the real DSP, which is what a lot of influencers do, right, for their handles, are you being impersonated by lots of people out there? Is like the DSP moniker like a big deal?
I am. Yeah, there's a lot of fake DSPs out there around every corner.
Look for the blue check mark.
You have the most DSP-ness, right? The most DSP-ness around.
With DSP-ness. You know, it's funny because
get your minds out of the gutter.
Any time somebody in my Facebook group sees like something that says DSP on it, I'll get a picture of someone to post it in the group. So actually there are other DSPs out there, just none as handsome as this fella.
He's the only digital service provider. Go ahead.
That's right. Well, this is quickly going downhill. Let's bring in our guest, Ben Mena. In fact, Ben, let's put you on the very tippy top here. There we go.
Ben, can you get this under control? Ben? You know what you're doing.
Man. Well, okay.
We need an adult in the room.
You guys are legends. Like, I'm just happy to be here with you guys. You know.
Oh, well, you are quickly becoming a legend, sir. For those of you who don't know, Ben's been running the Elite Recruiter podcast for how many years now?
Oh man, I
4
think it's
years, maybe
4 or 5 years now. I think
Yeah.
December 2020 was like the first episode dropped.
It is one of the top recruiting podcasts out there, and you've done it through just
How many episodes do
consistency.
you have now?
274 just dropped.
74. Jeez.
That
How's the
is-
kid?
that is-
Holy cow!
How's the kiddo? How's dad life?
Oh man, dad life. Oh, since the last time I was with you guys, I have a kid now. He is now, or maybe like I've been with you guys after we had the kid, but he just turned 2. He's amazing. He's full of energy. Seconds before hopping on, he just tried launching off the couch, grabbed my wife's hair, and my wife wasn't happy as like she lost some hair as he like literally tried swinging with her hair. So we're at that stage of a toddler.
They're actively trying to destroy themselves like at every turn.
It's boys for you. Yep. Speaking of, so for me, I've had
Can
one
I ask
boy,
a quick
2 girls,
question?
and the girls are always easier, way easier than boys. Boys are a handful. I have a buddy of mine that has 2 boys, both younger, and his oldest, when he was like maybe 4 or 5, broke 4 big screen TVs. 4. He went through 4. He would throw stuff at the TV and break it. Like, so he was,
Wow.
So welcome to boy life. It is
Fortunately,
not
those
easy.
have come down in price over
Yeah,
the
Ben.
years. Sorry, Neil. What were we going to say?
Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, Ben, I'm so curious. Does this 2-year-old boy have intense facial, shadow like you do? Like yours is just from this morning shaving, right? Ben's got.
I actually shaved it
Shadow
an
out.
hour
10 minutes
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I shaved an hour ago. Not yet. I'm sure he will though.
No, that's like the Homer Simpson
That's crazy.
episode, right? Remember when he shaves and then it pops, it comes back like 2 seconds later.
Yeah,
A
no.
sign of virility. That's the way I look at it. Sign of virility.
We actually went to the doctor, and the doctor's like, "Hey, Gabe looks amazing. Everything's good. Here's your biggest challenge. Your biggest challenge is going to be keeping him alive."
Yeah.
Like he wants to go do something crazy, like jump off the couch, jump down the stairs, all the crazy things. Chris is like, "Yep, been there, done that. Yep."
Still, yeah. He's 6
And it's
now
worth
for
it.
me. And
It is. It is
yeah, they're
worth
just
it.
wild.
But it's worth it, man. It is so worth it. All right, so before we dive in, I wanted to point out you were showing your shirt there. So for those of you who don't know, I really don't sell them very often anymore. But I used to sell these Headhunter shirts a few years ago. I still have a few in my garage in a box. So every once in a while, someone will say, "Hey, do you have any shirts available?" And as long as I have their size and color, I'll send it out. But yeah, I appreciate you representing them, man. I appreciate it.
Those shirts on the secondary market yield a considerable markup. They're really a hot commodity.
I've seen them on eBay for like $500.
I think they're getting counterfeited.
The thing is, I'm not making them again. Like I probably never make them again. Like you know what I mean? It was a pain in the butt to do, and we really must making money off of it because it's
on Canal Street. You see fake Rolexes, fake Birkin bags, fake Headhunter T-shirts because like they're like, oh yeah, it's not the real.
It's no joke. When I went to
the real DSP.
I went to put in some merch for Boss. I have a place now that's great, but one of the first places I went to, I uploaded everything, and they denied it because it looked too much like Hugo Boss. They said it was a trademark copyright issue, and I wasn't able to go through them. It does kind of look similar, not gonna lie.
I mean, I've even seen some Temu ads like pop up and some Shein ads pop up on Instagram, like Headhunter shirts, like
Hugo Boss make uniforms for Nazi Germany. Were they? Wasn't Hugo Boss that did that? I'm pretty sure. There were those others really sharp looking like SS uniforms. Those are all Hugo Boss. I'm almost positive. Almost positive. Right. Yeah.
Huh.
Fact check me
I don't
on
know
that.
of any other German designers anyway. I think he's the biggest German designer probably.
Yeah, pretty sure. Well, let's dive into so the folks who don't know, like I mentioned, am I right? It is Hugo Boss.
Like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The company was founded in 1924 in Germany by Hugo Boss.
Yep, I'm almost positive those uniforms are Hugo Boss. That's why they're so stylish.
To make it through that time period,
they were stylish.
To the market.
They were. I'll give them that. What were we
here to talk about? I forget.
Let's go for a history lesson. So So for the viewers out there that don't know, and I'm sure most folks here do know. So Ben, you started the Elite Recruiter podcast, right? And also you're still a practicing recruiter, so you're doing both. So I got to ask, what started the whole Elite Recruiter podcast idea? Like, why did you start it? Like, why? Because it's not like you're selling coaching services. So like, what's the point behind it? Like, what started?
If you want to get off, the whole podcast was started during COVID because I was bored and wanted to talk to people.
Oh,
literally,
okay.
That's how it started.
That's a good reason.
That was the inspiration. There was no, hey, let me build like a system or have this backend funnel or this and that. It was just like, COVID sucks. I'm in DC. DC was more shut down than probably anywhere else in America. And I'm like, I just want to try to chat with people again. So like, let's do a podcast. And that's literally how the podcast started. And the first episode was going to be recession-proof leadership. And then I started watching the market, and I'm like, so over here, the recruiters in this market, it fucking blows. But then there's like recruiters in this market that are now like banking, building 7 figures all of a sudden because of COVID and how like government spending and everything is happening. I was like, okay, so not everything's in recession. Maybe I'll just flip it to the Elite Recruiter podcast, and it's kind of just kept on going and grown from there. And I'm still having fun with it. And I think that's what matters the most.
Well, all right. So
you do it the right way. I mean, we feel kind of guilty in that we basically record the 3 of us plus our guest. We broadcast it the same exact way for the most part. It was recorded with mistakes and everything. You do this beautiful editing job. I love it, with the captions and nice highlight reels and all that sort of stuff. It's really done the right way,
So
for one.
Like here's the thing. Like I have an editor now, but the first 150 episodes, like I was editing myself. Yeah, and like the AI tools, if you have a podcast, are so much better now than they were like even 5 years ago. Like you can have a podcast now. I really think every recruiter should have a podcast focused on their industry, but you can have one as a one-person show, spend 2 hours a week building out a podcast, and then that podcast can help you become an authority in the space, even like accidentally.
Now I have to ask, other than myself, I've been on your show a couple times. In fact, I'll be on the show again here pretty soon.
Yep, coming soon.
Other than myself, who has been your favorite guest?
I mean, you asked me this the last time we sat down, and the answer is still the same.
Still the same. Okay. I'll rephrase it. Other than Neil, who is your least favorite guest?
Oh my God! I did great on his show. He told me I nailed it.
You did nail it.
He told me on his. He said he was really excited about my show, like the introduction. He was really excited about that episode. So almost really
Chris, you were amazing too. So I will say this: I no longer do episodes with somebody that's on a team of a product. Perfect example. Like now, if I do anything product wise, it's now like a sponsored episode. But if I do anything product wise, and if I have somebody on their team that wants to be part of it, I just say no. There was this episode this is like 4 years ago, probably in the top 25 or the first 25. I got done with the episode. I spent 7-8 hours editing it because of just like, it just did not go well. But I was like, okay, this and that. So I literally hit publish on the episode. The next day, the company fires that person. And I'm like, well, that sucks.
They fired the person on the. Oh gosh.
Yeah, so like they fired that person, and I think he was just like reaching out for like any place to get sales. He was a salesperson on the team, and I was just like, after that, I was like, you know what? I'm only going to sit down with founders. I'm only going to sit down with recruiters. I'm only going to be sharing their stories. It was like, I think at that point in time, I was so early. I was like, somebody wants to be on the podcast. This is kind of cool. Like, I'm the only person listening to the episodes, so cool. Somebody wants to be on it. So that was probably the worst one.
Your guests?
Like now,
how do you find your guests? How do you find them? In general, overall, how do you find them? Because you get some great people on there. We steal yours. So once we see they're on there, we just talk to yours. So we have it easy.
Yeah, but steal anybody. Like almost all the guests are inbound nowadays. There's the occasional one or two I'll reach out to. Like I'm doing a series right now on EOS, the Entrepreneur Operating System. So I'm doing 3 episodes for that. So I had to go find those three stories to share. And then I had one that just launched about a week ago. John Pearson, he's like a talent agent in the hedge fund world. I had to go actually hunt him down. There was a Wall Street Journal article that popped out talking about this talent model. And I actually went and commented on the article on LinkedIn because I was actually trying to reach out to the person that they highlighted to share. Ended up finding out that guy kind of copied somebody else's model. And the guy that guy copied was John Pearson, who's been doing this talent agent model for about 20 years. So just interviewed him. So it's like, there's occasional times where I'm like really reaching out and studying and trying to find somebody. But most of the time I already have like 10 to 12 episodes already recorded, already ready to rock and roll. And most of the stuff is just inbound.
Let me ask you this backward question, because you mentioned the EOS series you're doing. Now, is that on like recruiters using that for their own firms, or just understanding it in general? Because I think I've found, like with a lot of the hiring I've done, even just understanding some of those models, which are really built on fleshing out an org chart, right? Like the better you understand that as a recruiter, even if you're not using it in your own firm, it's helpful to understand in helping a company grow, right? Like what's the angle on that for your show?
So I have 3 stories with it. The first story just went live last week with Jackie, and she's one of the top implementers. I think she's done like 500 companies now. And it was more of like the basis of like EOS and how it can be involved in recruiting. She used to be an executive headhunter and now is an EOS implementer. So it's really just like the basic of understanding. The episode that's coming out next week is a guy that's actually a CEO of a staffing firm, but has also helped implement EOS in 40 different companies. So we're talking about the breakdown of like how a recruiting company can start implementing it, like what they need to do, like to do it, the pain that they're going to have going through it, like the whole process you need to do.
For those who aren't aware, what is EOS?
So EOS is a business operating system. It's called the Entrepreneur Operating System. And there's like 3 or 4 different like operating systems or ways that businesses can operate that really helps you keep track of everything, helps you focus on the right things, helps you really just like control the chaos of owning a business. And, you know, a lot of us in recruiting, everything is chaos. You know, we're dealing with people on 2 sides. So it's really just trying to like bring the chaos together, focus on control. So that way you can actually either grow profits or grow your business or have more time to do whatever, you know, even with more time with the family. So it's really just putting basic business principles within your business.
I gotcha. Yeah. I will agree with you on that. I mean, the recruiting business is so chaotic, and most recruiters. I mean, look, at the end of the day, if you're a good recruiter, you're likely a gunslinger, as I like to call them. Right? You're gunslinging. You're out there making deals happen, and those are the worst people when it comes to operations and systems and tracking. I know it's the same for me. I've had to get a lot of help in terms of operating systems, and now I help teach it. But I had to get a lot of help along those lines because, again, I was never naturally a systems guy, right?
Well,
I had to become that.
And you were like, I'll just say this, like you were probably one of the original people within the recruiting space that like started talking about systems and started talking about these things. Like I remember, I think it was like 3 or 4 years, maybe even farther, 7 years ago, where you're sitting there talking like, hey, here's my tracking plan for the rest of for the year. Here's the things that you probably need to track to be successful. Here's the things that you need to set up on a weekly basis and what you need to focus on. You know, and how many people out there, which you probably know the answer, like Neil, Chris, and DSP, you guys talk to so many different recruiting business owners. Behind the scenes, how many, like percentage wise, how much of it is chaos?
Oh, probably like 95%.
Exactly.
Not even just recruiting companies in general. I mean, I'm run a full desk, so like the majority of companies that I hire for, like they're no matter small, big, whatever. There's chaos, right? Like typically, and there's a lot of reactive hiring, and there's a lot of hiring just based on hoping they could fit somebody in versus understanding the business need and like plugging them into like the right seat, right? And I think the other thing too is if a recruiter understands some concepts like an EOS, doesn't have to be that, like it could help you be a better advisor to a business, because instead of just they said, oh, they want one of these, so I'll get them one of these and then I can bill for it. But then 2 months later, when the person flames out because it wasn't the right kind of hire, now what, right? Versus you be able to have some better upfront conversations with clients to make sure that it is in fact like the right way to go. So like I think that comes in really handy in that regard.
Yeah, and it was just like in reality, like the whole EOS series is coming about just because I've sat down with quite a few firm owners, and the ones that there's been a few that have implemented EOS, and they've really done that. They 2 million to 5 million to 10 million to like 15 to 20 million. I've seen like the impacts of it. So I was like, curiosity. I'm like, I'm bored. I'm curious. Or I'm never bored. I have a kid and I'm a recruiter. But I was just like, let me dig a little deeper into these stories. And that's really just kind of like where these episodes come about. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, this would be a fun story to share. Let me go have fun here.
Well, okay. So speaking of that, so now that you've seen inside like hundreds of practices, whether it be systems or EOS or something along those lines, but what's probably the most uncomfortable truth that you would say that recruiters are afraid to face about their businesses? I'd imagine you probably saw some common themes.
I mean, it's one of the reasons why I'm excited to have you back on and really just talking about it. It's the sales and business development. Like it's a dirty little secret in recruiting that, there's just nobody focuses enough on the business development and the sales. Nobody is consistent enough on the business development and sales. And the people that are run circles around people that are not. And it's just like, that is the biggest theme. What I've seen, it's either having a sales structure, having a sales team, or you being accountable to yourself to consistently do that. So like, it's just without sales, we don't have positions to work on. And I think that's one of the big things of 2025 going into 2026 is a lot of like some recruiters just don't have as much to work on like they should, while other recruiters are literally turning down work.
What's the difference? All right, so let's talk about this. So what's in your eyes? What's the difference between the folks that are turning down to work versus the ones that are scraping by every month and struggling?
So the first thing is going to be mindset. It's really just how they think about the business and how they think about themselves. So the second thing is going to be consistently. Are they showing up? Do they have KPIs and metrics that they're tracking, and are they hitting those KPIs and metrics? And I think the big one is, and you guys have been talking about this for, God, how long have I known you, DSP? Like a decade now?
Yeah, something like that, 7, 8 years maybe.
Maybe longer, but like you've been talking about brand and being omnipresent and all this stuff. Like like all the stuff that you talked about back then, it is the reality of how things work nowadays. There are solo billers now that are becoming so specialized in their niche because of this brand that they've built, that they are the they become the go-to person. And like one of the crazy things that I think a lot of people don't understand is LinkedIn is your community. Your LinkedIn followers and connections is your community. So I remember, I think you said this like 8 years ago, you want to be omnipresent and you want to show up every single day. And this is like, back then it was like through some Facebook ads, being like LinkedIn posts and all this stuff. But the way the algorithm has really changed over the last 2 years, it is a storytelling. It is a place where you suck people up into your world where while you're doing everything that you should be doing, it's now they're becoming warm leads over time.
100%. Yeah, it's farming, right? You're planting seeds that you'll sow in the future. That might be 6 months down the line, you're down the line, 5 years down the line. And I always tell people that also affects your outbound. I mean, if you reach out to a prospect because they have an opening, for example, and you reach out and they know who you are because of your content, and the other 20 recruiters that reach out, they don't know who they are, you're probably, everything else being equal, more likely to get the business, or at least get a reply because they don't know who you are. So it's not just just content for content's sake. It actually significantly affects your ability to go outbound to clients. It affects your ability to recruit. Well, yeah, it affects everything.
I mean, recruiters don't think about marketing. Like, all these other companies spend money on marketing. You don't have to spend money nowadays. You can just share stories. And this is going to be a testament to DSP. Remember back in the day where like you kind of had everybody like writing LinkedIn articles, and like we'd all like, try to have a LinkedIn article done by, we'll say, Wednesday every week or every 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, I remember that the LinkedIn pod.
Do you know how much like business I got because of that? Like,
really?
This awesome, is like, Ben.
Yeah, this is like
it's still great.
Like I don't do it as often just because like AI has really gummed that up a bit. But pre AI, putting like really put together like articles, like walking through people like processes wise. Some of those articles actually were ranked #1 on Google for SEO for a bunch of things without me like realizing it. So it'd be like anytime like people were searching something on Google, it'd show up on Google, and then they'd read it on LinkedIn, and they'd go back to my profile and like, hey, we need help with this.
And you mentioned AI. The fact that with AI now, there's a lot more. I mean, content has increased exponentially, which ultimately means the content is still important. It's got to be better. It's like when you email somebody or a cold call, whatever it is. If a prospect's receiving 20 emails or 20 reach outs or cold calls that day, well, it's got to be better than the other ones. I mean, it's a consistency too, because some people, what most people do is they do a bunch of content for a few weeks and they get busy and then silence for 2 months, and then they do it again for a few weeks and silence for 2 months. So it's consistency. I think is gonna be a big piece of it, but also just that doing more high quality content or being more creative or actually and be more entertaining. Entertainment's a big one. It can't be boring.
I mean, and that's why you have to start thinking about different types of content now. That's why, having a podcast like this is so important. Like, you're showing up authentically, you're showing up as yourself. People actually see you. Like, all these factors are involved. So anytime like somebody pops online, they see the video of Neil, they see the video of Chris, they see the video of DSP, it's a little trigger in the back of their mind. Okay, cool. They're real people. So when you do get a message or you do reach out or something of that nature, it's a much more of a positive response. It's much more, you're pulling people into the world, and it's like a warm lead or a warm story. And it's one of the reasons why, like, I always joke around with people. I'm like, if I could go back in time, I would really focus on a GovCon headhunting podcast, not a recruiting podcast, because like if you start a podcast, you're really building that accidentally that authority in the space. You're building those relationships. People see you as authentic, and the content that you have is really stands out with a lot of the AI slop out there.
Yeah. Well, imagine a prospect that you reach out to and you book a call. Imagine you spend a half hour on a Zoom call with that prospect or a half hour on the phone with that prospect. In which scenario is the better relationship built faster? I would say the Zoom, where you can see their face. And so take that same principle and apply it to your entire market. If you are willing to put out video, and if you have a face built for radio, and I know a lot of recruiters out there don't want to be on video, and I get that, but sometimes you got to bite the bullet and do the unconscionable things, but get your face out there. People start seeing you and they start trusting you and feel as if they have a relationship with you, even if it's one-sided. I mean, I've been on sales calls before. I had a sales call I was on maybe 2 years ago. Never talked to her, but she had been in the group for a long time, and she started saying some of my catchphrases. In the call, like she came in like she was so excited to talk to me, and she knew me, and I had never talked to her before. And she's a great lady. We worked together for a bit, but it's weird. You get people that feel like they know you, right? It's one-sided, and that does a lot to, again, make your outbound better, get you more inbound leads, build authority, all those things.
Peace out, Cub Scout.
That's right.
There you are.
Oh yeah,
Peace out, Cub Scout.
And I think that's going to be like something that's even more important going into 2026 with, whatever happens with AI, like having that person. People want to buy from people at the end of the day.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I think really 2026 for my mind, and I'd like to ask you about some of your predictions that you have, because talking to so many recruiters, I'm sure you've asked that question to them, so I'm sure you have a pretty good idea of what the landscape's going to be like, or at least your best guess. But the way I look at it, I think that with the amount of competition out there, and also you've got AI and so much more content, it's going to force recruiters to level up their game in 2026. There's still gonna be a lot of business out there, but the days where you can be kind of hidden and just making cold calls, making placements, I'm sure you can still do that if you already have like a lot of relationships. Because I'm sure a lot of veterans are going to watch this. I don't need that because I've already got my relationships. Great, you got that. What about the people who don't, right? Or about the people who maybe don't have as many relationships, or kind of business kind of comes and goes, right? So you have to level up your game, provide more white glove service, be more visible. Get over your insecurities about being on video and content. You just got to jump in and do it. I really do think that.
And even if you have those relationships, like, they age out, right? So here's the thing, like, at 48, I'm like doing this for 20 plus years. I have really strong relationships with people who are actively running companies that are in my kind of age range, right? That are in significant positions with decision-making authority, et cetera, right? And I took over another recruiting business a few years back from someone who was 20 years my senior and was at this point in her time, was in her prime, was killing it, $1 million billing, all that other stuff. And, when I took over her practice, I did get some business from it, but her influence started to wane because her people were no longer in the key seats anymore. And that's going to happen for me, and that's going to happen for everybody. So if if you have it all set because you've got the relationships and you don't need to do any of that stuff, you should be probably the most concerned, because you still need to be ready for when those start to cycle out and those people aren't in the spots anymore to keep sending business your way. You know what I mean? Like, it does have a life cycle.
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say my biggest concern, but just real quick, my biggest client or my biggest year with one client ever was 2006 with Accenture. They were doing mass hiring at that time. I billed just a hair over $1 million in direct hire fees in 1 year in 2006. Guess how much I billed in 2007 with Accenture? A big fat zero. That's right. So your big clients always go away at some point. So to your point, Chris, it's very, very true. Very true.
And yeah, I think you're right. The old dogs that have the relationships, I think they're going to be fine for 2026, 2027, as long as they're really cultivating those. But I mean, here's the thing, like starting a recruiting company is hard, or starting a recruiting company is easy. All you need is a phone. All you need is a computer and just some fucking guts and grit to go. So like the competition's high. Like I see, because of also new technology. Yeah, new entrants, but also technology. Like it's easier to compete with these big dogs. It's easier to create a white glove service. It's easier to do this. So I think the competition is going to go up. Well, and like you said, it's going to force recruiters to work harder, be smarter, figure out an AI in a tech stack that works for you, but also stop chasing the shiny objects and put in the work. Because really the key of 2026 is going to be putting in the work.
And relationships.
Relationships.
All the tech stacks are not going to help you build relationships. But here's the thing: is they're not mutually exclusive. A good tech stack should help you build relationships, right? Like Zoom is a great example. Yeah, Zoom is part of a tech stack, and yeah, it's techie. But at the end of the day, if I'm on a call with somebody on Zoom versus phone, I build a better relationship. That's the tech stack making my relationship stronger. So you got to think about it like that. How can I build more relationships with my prospects? Using the technology that I have, but you're right. Chasing the shiny object is a recipe for failure for sure. Without the right strategy behind it, and without the right mindset of I got to build relationships. Because at the end of the day, that's the important part.
In our business too, like we chase a lot of shiny objects, like with tech stacks, right? Like there's always something. The amount of people all they want to talk about is like, well, it's the newest tool, blah blah blah, and then it's like you're doing anything you can to avoid just executing. Right. Or sometimes, like any business, not just recruiting, we see this in every company that we hire for. Like there'll be a software application they got because they just felt like they had to have it, or everyone else is using it. They didn't have a good business case for why they were using that one. So it's like.
And could I say this? Oh, sorry, Chris. Sorry. I was going to say, if not to plug my company, but if you go to backofficenow.com in the menu, you're going to see directories. Got a great, and it's from you guys and from all my research. It's some of it's from my book, but it's a great tech stack, broken out by section of what you want to do. Check it out. Make sure you're at least familiar with the key tools that are out there. That's what blows my mind, by the way. As big as AI is, people know Claude, Perplexity, ChatGPT, and that's it. Like, what about the other 30 very specific niche AI tools?
What can you be using Clay to do in your business, or like whatever else? Yeah, exactly.
I mean, like perfect example, like what DSP does behind the scenes with a bunch of companies. Like, I know you just helped one of my friends, Adrian, with the back office or all the back end systems, and he made an awesome placement and has a bunch of agreements signed.
Adrian, yeah, I love that guy. He's for those who didn't know, he was a Marine, about to retire after 20 years, and he's approaching his retirement, which he's a young guy. I mean, I think he joined when he was like 18, whatever. But anyway, so he's like he's young, but he's retiring from the Marine Corps, and starting his firm while he's wrapping it up, and just made it like actually a monster placement.
Oh yeah, like I was like
Okay.
virtually high-fiving him. I'm like, good job, man. This is freaking awesome.
I will say this, and I'll say no. One thing about Marines is everybody makes fun of Marines, rightfully so. I've got Marine friends. I love making fun of them. But in all seriousness, though, some of the most successful people I know have come from the military, and some of those successful have been Marines, because Marines are really good at grinding and working hard and being uncomfortable. Like it's some of the best training for this business. I really
I
think
don't know
so.
what
So
you're
yeah,
talking about. Everyone making fun of Marines, because I don't make fun of Marines because I want to get my ass kicked. So I'm not sure where you're coming from.
Well,
But I will say also,
it's just people that were in the Army that do that.
just give them a box of crayons. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
was
right.
Army.
Because you
Just
have
give them a
that's
box
right.
of
You
crayons.
do the
And
other
they'll
thing.
be happy.
That's right.
The
Well,
key to a Marine's heart is a box of crayons. That's they'll
I
be
will
happy.
say too, though, I had a guy who worked for me for four or 5 years who was really focused, and he was disciplined. He was a wrestler, so similar like wiring, right?
Oh.
Like very focused. Like it's an individual sport. There's a ton of discipline required. Like so, along the same kind of lines. Like that's another really good archetype, I guess.
I think it was Danny Cahill who said this. I think I heard it from Danny Cahill originally. Was that the best workers you can hire for a firm? If you're hiring entry level people and you need to train them, look for people who are athletes or in band or in a band. It could be either a band in high school or just in a band. But anybody who played an instrument, anybody who played sports, for that the exact same reason, right? It's skill based learning. In essence.
I mean, I started at Aerotech, and I think the only way to start at Aerotech was if you played college sports.
Yeah,
that makes sense. What's the guy started Aerotech?
Yeah.
Didn't he buy the Ravens? Was that guy buy
Yeah,
the
yes.
Ravens?
Oh yeah,
He bought the Ravens.
Yes. All my spread went to buying the Ravens.
All right, so let's talk about bad advice. So after having been in the business for a while, no names, but what would you say is some of the most overrated advice for recruiters that you hear out there?
Overrated, I would say.
Yeah.
I don't know. Give me a second on that one. Overrated. AI is going to solve everything. AI is going to fix everything.
Yeah.
At least for the moment.
Or it's going to ruin everything.
Or it's going to ruin everything.
Yeah.
That's very true. Yeah, it isn't about AI. It's just a tool. It's like anything else. Well, they said the same thing about LinkedIn, didn't they? That how LinkedIn is going to ruin recruiting. They said the thing about job boards.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see AI ruining everything if, a decade from now there are no jobs left and us recruiters are trying to recruit on nothing. But if we ever hit that point, we're probably also worried about this thing called Skynet and Terminators too. So that's a whole other story.
Right. There's a whole other macro issue.
We'll have other worries other than recruiting.
Yeah.
With that being said, when it comes to AI, there is a book called "If Anyone Builds It, Everyone Dies." Have you heard of this one?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, it just came out, it's on my. I've seen a couple of videos on the book. It's on my reading list. I haven't read it yet. I've seen a couple of videos, kind of like basic overview of what happens with AI, and yeah, it's an interesting topic. So, what a great title for a book. If anyone builds it, everyone dies.
I mean,
well, a better one than that even would be a book on anti-gravity. It's amazing, David. I can't put it down.
Ah!
That's David's joke. That's David's joke. That's David's. I have
So
to
Ben,
throw it in there. Just.
But Ben, on that note though, I think it's a really good question. And if you have other types of advice you heard, right? Because I think people who have been doing this for as long as me or longer will just kind of casually chuck advice at newcomers or people who are earlier in their career, saying, "Oh, all you got to do is this," or "All you got to do is that," right? And then it doesn't really land because it's not executable. You know what I'm saying?
Making 100 calls a day, that doesn't work nowadays.
Right.
Like that worked 20 years ago, and
it worked for me great for a while, and then it didn't.
Yeah, I mean, if you're making 100 calls a day and 99 of them are going to voicemail, at that point in time, there's probably something that you should be doing different to get a hold of people.
But with that said, doesn't mean you shouldn't cold call.
Oh,
you strategically.
You should be on the phone. You need to be on the phone. Have it be more if you're sitting there leaving the same voicemail 100 times a day, nobody's going to freaking call you back. But if you if you are leaving voicemails and are a little more better or a little more in depth or inviting somebody onto a podcast, you have to be different because
different. Yeah. or even use as a threat, like a great line to use in the email is something to the effect of, maybe after your third or fourth email to somebody and haven't responded yet, you may mention in the email, by the way, I'm going to be calling you tomorrow morning. Just to FYI, and that'll probably it's more likely to generate a response back from them before you call.
That was the old, I'll be dropping by your office. I'll be in the neighborhood, so I'm dropping by your office. I'll stop in at 2.
Right.
And then they remember that one? Because then they would be like, actually, I won't be around at 2. Like, well, what does work for you then? Like, that was a classic.
And what do you think of those AI bots that are fake, like 11 Labs, and they have all these now voicemails coming in or pre-recorded calls, not pre-recorded even. The AI bots, I can't stand it. I mean, I'm disconnecting that thing on the third word. I don't know about anyone else.
I'll just say, I love 11 Labs, but like, I think people nowadays are smart enough to know what is AI versus what's not AI.
And I don't like
except for the baby boomers.
Like it's not. I wish they would just say, "Hey, hi, I'm so and so, your AI bot. Please don't hang up." That's fine. You could tell every time. I mean, I used 11 Labs for my e-version of my AI book. It's great. Check it out if you want to, the e-version when you go there. But yeah.
Well,
I don't like it.
The thing is, you can tell now, but I think pretty soon you'll be able to tell. I mean, look, at the end of the day, but do you remember like a couple years ago with pictures, AI images, there would be extra finger, weird, arms, weird positions. And now it's getting so good on the videos and the images. You still kind of tell to a certain degree, but it's getting better. It's gonna be harder to tell everything.
I think we could tell just because we see it and we experience it. But with seeing how viral Sora videos are going and people can't tell that they're made by Sora. I mean, even you see that little area that's like fuzzed out where they've tried to get rid of the Sora watermark. Yeah. People still think this shit is real.
Yeah. Especially if you want to believe it is.
Yeah, it's crazy. And that's why I think, AI, I mean, not that I really necessarily think this 100%, but I think to a certain degree, AI is going to eat like a lot of the middle of the market, where a lot of the folks that, a lot of people that just made easy placements because they were just kind of flipping their resumes, it's going to be harder to do because you've got folks recruiters using AI to become more efficient, so they're doing more volume per person. Or you've got companies that internally that are using AI like Clay or their sourcing tools to help with the sourcing. Because for a lot of commodity recruiters, that was their big claim to fame, is that, well, I can source candidates. Well, sourcing is becoming less and less of a differentiator.
Sourcing as a career is dead. We'll just say that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. You said it.
Well, I tell every client,
100%.
Yeah, you tell every prospect I meet with, I'm like, listen, anyone can find anyone. That's like it's that like anyone can do. Like if you just need me to do that, like they just go online, look for somebody. You can literally find anyone. It used to be we had little pockets of people that no one knew about or whatever, but now it's the relationships you have with those people. I mean, it was that then too, but even more. Like to your point, like the commodity aspects of the business, which some people have been able to ride on for years, just you're getting phased out. But if what you're doing is you're providing a service and you're actually providing advisory to a client and you're actually recommending not only like what direction they should go with a role, but guiding them through the interview process. And they're like, what questions should I ask Chris, et cetera? Like that, then you're like adding value, right? And you're helping them make those decisions. But if you were just doing the real basic stuff,
I think a lot of people are still coming off the high of the golden era of recruiting, that 2022, the 2023, where things just start work. Everybody needed people. And it's during that time, a lot of people forgot how to work, including myself, the work that you need to put in. And I think we're going to see more and more of that just because, or more and more of like that middle market disappearing, because every single internal recruiter can go buy Pin, they can go buy Juicebox. Their AI tools are just like the tools that we utilize. It's what are you doing behind the scenes to really show yourself as an authority? What are you doing to be that go-to person in the space? What are you doing to, as GSP says constantly, become omnipresent in the world that you work in? And I think those are going to be the recruiters that win.
And isn't it as simple as, I remember when I first got in the business, they were worried about everything. You could have the classified ads and the internal talent pools and all this. That, oh God, what the heck? I forgot my thought. How do you like that? I was prefacing too much. So I'll come back to it. Sorry. Not a good way to end the podcast. I'm getting
boomers.
Old. I'm 62. Thank you.
You're 52?
Exactly.
Is that what you said?
62.
42.
42.
It's crazy.
It's just a couple of 31-year-olds.
Was that Neil?
We'll come back to it. No, we'll come back to it. I forgot the thought. It's okay.
No, I get what you say, but like also like when it comes to the different tools and even just basic activities, sometimes like the advice will be too general, or like with the way someone executes, they know they're doing the activity for the sake of doing the activity. They're not thinking about how they're approaching it, who they're like you can make 100 calls, but you got to be to the right people, and it's got to be with the right messaging. And you know what I mean? Like there's got to be some strategy to it. Like regardless of the activity, calls, emails, in-mails, whatever, or even if you use a tool like Juicebox or something else, you still got to point it in the right direction. You still got to know what you're looking
that's
for.
What I was going to say. Isn't it important now, like it was in the old days, the way I was originally trained is you had to recruit, as a recruiter, you had to recruit the people. You had to I was beaten up, source a person. Who do they know? Who do they know? Who's good at what they do? Who's in their department? And you call people that are not on LinkedIn, that are not going to the New York Times articles at the time. And that was so critical because you can literally tell the clients what so many recruiters, I get people that you don't have access to. And that, I think it's more important than ever. You know, what do you think about it? I think it goes back to that day. Those who don't really recruit, they'll find the same people, as you said, Ben, on all these tools.
Right. They'll find, and anyone can find anyone. And also it's not that I can find those people. It's that I can engage those people and get them to respond and bring them to
call.
I mean, that's actually one of the reasons why I did that episode with the talent agent for the hedge funds. Like he looks at himself as like kind of like that sports agent, kind of like for musicians or, you know, TV stars, but he does it for hedge firms. Like that's just a different way. And his goal is to literally take somebody and be friends with them their entire career. And that's playing the long game. And that's something that, you know, a transactional recruiter isn't doing. That's something, you know, how many transactional recruiters are out there? So it's just, you got to start thinking different. You got to start thinking bigger. You got to start thinking about how like literally 10 years from now, how does your business want to be set up? How does the relationships that you want to have? And you need to start playing the game for that.
How can you be indispensable to these clients that you work with, right?
Because there could be another recruiter. Actually, there is another recruiter behind the scenes trying to work to get in.
There always is. There always is. There's always multiple recruiters out there. And in fact, and even the client that you have a great relationship with, you know, you go 2 or 3 months and don't reach out to them again, they probably forget about you. I mean, let's be honest. You know, just because you have one great placement with them a few months ago does not mean you're going to get the next search at all. Right? It's brutal out there. I'm not brutal, but it is dog to a certain extent. Like you can't just rest on your laurels. You have to continually push, continually reach out, continually build relationships, and also continually giving service. Right? That's a big one too. Is that you know, we don't want to always be have this energy we're always taking. Now, I want you to give me a job order. I need to pay my mortgage, right? It needs to be, what can you give your prospects and candidates? What can you give freely? And the more that you give freely, it's going to increase your reach. It's going to increase your brand. It's going to increase the amount of reciprocity that you get back from your clients and candidates, et cetera. So freely given. I mean, heck, I have to imagine, Ben, the fact that you give so freely with your podcast, I have to imagine has actually paid dividends for you in your own business. Just if you want to just look at karma.
So right? I will say the podcast has impacted the business with how much I spend on it. But at the same time, like we haven't really, like we have great clients and the clients have kind of came to us and we do a lot of focus on them. And we have a lot of people reach out really because like, if you are connected with me on LinkedIn in my space, even though I'm not talking about GovCon as much as I should be, it's a 100% guarantee if you hop on LinkedIn at least once a month, you will see my face because of the podcast and because I'm hosting.
Yeah, your expertise. You don't have to say anything else. They just know that this guy, it's what we always talk about. And what you said in the beginning, that everyone should do a podcast for sure, right? And that's why they see you as the expert and it's invaluable.
And it's 100%. And here's the thing, like if you're afraid to, like I know DSP said multiple times, like, hey, you know, you need to get on camera. If you don't want to be on camera, have a podcast and focus on somebody else.
Well, and the other thing too, speaking of like what I said earlier about just activities for the sake of activities, but without some strategy, have a podcast, but don't do another podcast on say recruiting, right? Because do it about the industry that you're in. Do it, because if you're like, oh, I'm in the managed service providers, I hire for IT managed service providers or whatever, right? Okay, you should just be contacting CEOs of managed service providers and saying, hey, I'd love to have you on my show where we talk about what's going on in the industry. Next thing you know, you got to in tight with those. Like that's what you got to do. And then all of a sudden you're an industry authority. And then you're like, it's like when I go to a trade show and there's no other recruiters there in a particular industry. You're like, okay, you want to be the only recruiter in the room.
And you know what the decline rate is? The decline rate for when we ask people to be on the podcast is infinitesimally small. Like everyone is down to be on a podcast. And like to get your best prospect, we talked about this last week, to get this person you've been going after, but to call them to come on your podcast, it's a totally different call with really easy results to get to be their bro, as Chris was just saying.
It's an easy way to get in. It's also an easy way to like become the authority without like bragging that you're the authority. It's also really a great way to start a relationship and keep a relationship, because now you've spent like 30 minutes to an hour with that person. And the coolest thing that like people don't realize is when you share that story, like, first of all, don't give a fuck about downloads. Like, do not look at downloads. Do not give a crap about downloads. One of the things most important is building the relationship. And every single time that you post it on LinkedIn and you are tagging that person and highlighting that person, their entire network sees that. Their entire network and sees you as the person, as the authority. And that's what starts compounding over time.
Yep.
And also, and that's huge. And in addition to that, what would it do for your business if you got to spend 30 to 45 minutes every single week with a one-on-one high-level conversation with the best prospects in the industry, and did that every single week? Let's say 50 weeks out of the year. Yeah, 50 of those relationships that you've built with the top prospects in your industry. What would that do to your billings?
It skyrocket. You might not see. The thing about a podcast is you will not see the impact probably for the first 6 months, but you go into year 2, you go into year 3, people start reaching out to you. Like, they're like, hey, I want to be on this industry. Like, people love talking about themselves. And for recruiters that don't like to be the front of the camera and don't like to be the front, guess what? You can have somebody talk about themselves all day long, and you know how to ask good questions. You're a fucking recruiter.
Yeah, just ask some good questions. Softballs, open-ended questions, and keep that's how you control. The person asking questions is the one running the conversation. You're in control. Just ask. So I know we're getting ready to wrap up. So Ben, do you have any final words of wisdom?
Make sure you guys subscribe to this podcast and keep on listening every single week, because these guys are the absolute legends in the space.
He's been practicing that. Thank you. You got it on like the first take.
Dave, Chris, I appreciate you bringing the show to a close. I wasn't looking at the clock, so I was a little off my game. So, Chris, I appreciate you picking up the slack for me, brother. All right. So, one thing I want to leave with here is Ben runs these really cool summits. You're running now for what? I think now 2 years, I believe. About 2 years.
I think like 2 years, something like that.
Yeah, and it's crazy. He'll bring in 25, 30. 35 guest speakers. In fact, I've been a guest speaker on many. And so if you and Neil, and so if you want to be a part of that, go to the link is on the screen here. We'll make sure we drop the link into the comments when we go live. I'll be speaking there as well. It is going to be January 26th through the 30th, and it's free. If you want the recordings, you have to pay a little bit extra, but at the end of the day, it's free training the entire week, all about getting new business. So go check it out. It's fantastic. Of course, I'll be there.
And Ben, one more thing. You created a community, if I recall, right? A new community.
Oh, yeah. I've done that too.
How's that going, and how do people get part of it?
I suck at self-promoting, so thank you, guys.
So tell us a little bit about that.
So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to build like a growth community for recruiters where it's a place where everybody can start working together. We have stuff like the Billers Club, where self-accountability. You share your billings, you share what's going on. All the summits are part of it. We have weekly roundtables. Like we just had Rich Rosen come in and do a roundtable for 300 to 500K billers. We have I'm doing a roundtable on podcasting. So it's all sorts of stuff, but it's super cheap, $49 a month, super accessible. And my goal is to try to build a place where recruiters can just like grow and just like grow together. Like, I don't want to be a coach. My strength is connecting people and bringing people together. And so that's what I'm finally leaning into after 5 years of having a podcast.
I mean, this is a separate conversation, but one day we'll have it. But I think your better model is to give it away for free and get the advertisers down the road, because it's such a great value prop. I think you get boatloads of people, and they're a regular audience. It's like Plenty of Fish versus Match,
There
You know,
go.
and it's like it's like kind of something I've wanted to do for at least about 150 episodes. Was kind of build this out. So I finally I launched it. I remember when I was by myself early on in my recruiting career, and yes, I had coworkers, but it was just like I wanted places for people to like bounce off ideas with, people to like to chat with, like, hey, how did you get through this? And I help the Pinnacle Society with their podcast, and so I've kind of like gained some of the ideas from the Pinnacle Society, like how can we set this up so that recruiters win? How do we set this up so that way people can grow and just absolutely crush it? So that's really the goal.
Awesome.
Excellent. All right. Well, now we are, it's time for us to wrap it up. So with that being said, Ben, I really appreciate you being on the show. Go check out the summit, everybody. And again, if you're watching live, make sure you comment live. Watch replay, make sure you comment replay. Ben, again, thank you so much for being on here. It is not the first, and certainly will not be the last.
Awesome. Hey, I just want to say thank you guys.
Show, Ben.
I just want to say thank you guys. And like, if you are listening to this and still watching here, like, you guys don't understand the impact that these three people have in the recruiting industry. They've been giving for years, and they've helped so many people grow. They've helped so many lives change. They've helped these three people were probably responsible for maybe, like, I would say $50 to $100 million worth of revenue, or actually probably even more. So it's like, understand the value that these people have given, start watching and seeing what they've done. And those are some of the ideas that you could take to your desk for you to grow and have it absolute fucking crush it in 2026.
Thank you, Ben. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ben. Much appreciated. And likewise, guys, go check out the Elite Recruiter podcast. It is fantastic. I'd say probably right now, I think, in my opinion, and of course I host this show, but I think it's probably one of the best podcasts in recruiting right now. Probably at minimum top 3, if not maybe even number 1. So it's amazing.
All right,
everybody. Well, thank you, everybody. Well, Ben, thank you. Bye, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye, folks.